Welcome to today's webinar with Mohamad Abosh, where we are going to talk about 3D printing and emerging technologies in manufacturing. How are you today, Mohamad?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Today we are going to speak about 3D printing and emerging technologies. But before we do that, Mohamad, can you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah. My name is Mohamad Abosh, and I work as a smart factory engineer here at Volvo Car Torslanda. This is actually my first week. Before that, I was a smart maintenance engineer, also here in Volvo Car Torslanda. So yeah, this is the first week.
Yeah, interesting. And this interest from your side regarding technology and smart factory, where does it come from?
Actually, my background is from Chalmers University, so I studied as mechanical engineer with production as main focus area. And I started my Volvo journey in 2016. I was hired as a maintenance engineer at the beginning. So it took approximately 1 year when we knew that maintenance is changing due to this industry 4.0. So we started a project called Smart Maintenance, and just to see what is the maintenance contribution with this industry 4.0 or digitalization. So yeah, my interest increased, and now I'm here working with the whole factories and not only maintenance.
Mm-hmm. And Mohamad, I know that you mentioned a little bit about Industry 4.0 and smart factory. Just a brief introduction. What does it mean, this smart factory concept?
Actually, it's a way of working using existing and also new technology, taking care of all the data that the equipments are generating, and using smart sensors to work more efficiency in a more efficient way, reduce losses and so on. So it's nothing new, except that we already have a lot of smart equipments, so to say, or advanced equipments, but we haven't used them as we haven't used them before as we are using them today. And it's from deep diving into the data and visualizing with a different type of analytic tools, combining different type of sensor to gather more insights data and so on. So yeah, it's a very big area. We could sit here and discuss about it for hours.
But it is emerging, right? It is becoming more and more common in the industry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And today, Mohamad, you are going to talk us through 3D printing, and yep. Maybe you would like to explain a little bit what is 3D printing for us that are not so involved in this area.
So what is 3D printing? So basically 3D printing is it's a process of creating a three-dimensional solid object. And it all starts with a drawing. So you use an existing drawing, or you can draw through whatever you want, basically. And after that, you put the drawing, the CAD drawing, inside a slicing software, where the software slice your drawing into layers. And after that, you put in that digital file or geocode inside a 3D printing software. And the software will calculate the amount of material that is going to be used, and the printing hours, and also the costs. And there is a different type of printing solutions or processes, FDM, SLS, binder jetting, and many other type of technologies. And what we are using in our process is the FDM technology, and it's spool-based, so to say, spool-based technology, where you take the material and you extrude it through a hot nozzle, and you print in layers, and the printing bed it's lowers by each layer.
Yeah. And Mohammed, I know before we talked a little bit about why this has become so common. So if you compare maybe 5-10 years ago, how come 3D printing is so much discussed and used in the industry?
I think it's due to the costs. Now it's much cheaper to 3D print. The equipments are much cheaper than they were for a couple of years ago. The material is cheaper. You have many hobby printers that you can buy for yourself in the stores. So many people are getting used to this technology for hobby and also for professional usage.
And today, how are you using it at Volvo? I know that you have brought us some examples with the pictures. Could you explain that to us?
Yeah, how we are using it. Basically, many companies, they think they are still in this so-called prototype phase, and they think that 3D printing is just for prototyping. But what we have done in Volvo Car Torslanda and also globally is that we have not stopped with the prototyping. We do the prototyping, but we also do the end-use parts. So we print maintenance spare parts, and we also print production jigs and fixtures, logistic parts, also helping projects in early phases, give them prototypes that they can feel and speed up the whole project phases. But the main focus for us is to produce end-use parts, and as you can see in the below picture, where we had that's just one example from maintenance that we had, and that was an old part that we had in metal, and as you can see in the below picture, it was in metal in the beginning, and we didn't have any drawings because that equipment was very old. So what we did was that we 3D scanned that part, and we received the drawing, so we did not need to draw that again. So we just did some reverse engineering, and after that we printed in reinforced PETG or carbon fiber. And the problem with this part, mainly why they wanted to replace it, was because it was approximately 11 kilograms, and it was affecting the maintenance. So you had some valves that was getting affected, and the preventive maintenance on that equipment was kind of high, and the cost for the spare parts was also high. So when we printed that one, we printed, as I mentioned, in carbon fiber reinforced, and we reduced the weight to, believe it or not, 0.6 kilograms, and this is thanks to the technology that brings with all the features with the 3D printing, because those parts that you see in the picture, they are not completely solid. You have the opportunity to produce parts that have like honeycomb fixture or honeycomb structure inside, so they don't need to be completely solid, and that makes it so perfect to use here. And it was much cheaper. You can imagine 11 kilogram metal compared to 0.6 kilo plastic. So it was a very successful project, and the parts, they are still running. They have produced thousands of parts in the equipment. So
And when you did this kind of project, Mohammed, for looking at the future, what kind of changes do you see in maintenance, logistics, and also when it comes to the whole product development cycle?
I think this we have seen it for ourselves, and many other companies have also seen it. It's this additive manufacturing, as it's also called. It reduces the project times, and it makes companies more or less dependent on suppliers. As you can see, this COVID-19 situation or the Corona situation now many companies, they are not producing anything, they are not working because they are not receiving parts from other continents or other countries. So many companies are now looking into how can we produce these parts by ourselves without being dependent on suppliers. We will still need suppliers, but some parts we can produce by ourselves. So what we have done in Volvo Cars Torslanda and also globally is that we have created a so-called digital storage where we share files between other plants and with other colleagues. So this part, it can be used in other plants that have the similar equipment. So what we do is basically we share the file, and they have their printer, they put in the printer, and they print with the same parameters as we are doing.
And also that you mentioned with the situation we have now today with COVID-19, that 3D printing is flexible, because here you have taken from Volvo Cars an initiative that we can see in the top right picture. Could you just mention that a little bit?
Basically it was, I received an email from a colleague which said that there is an initiative from suppliers, and they wanted to print face shields. So I thought that, why not contribute by ourselves also? So we started to print some prototypes, and or one prototype basically, and I showed our manager, and he did not hesitate for a second and said that we are going to help the healthcare. So we started to print, and I think we produced 2,000 parts to the healthcare. And with a collaboration together with Chalmers University, we produced our parts, and we also informed our colleagues in Charleston, US, and Ghent, and Skövde, and Olofström. So everybody was printing the same files. So there you could see a very good, how should I say, a very good example of how you can share files globally without sending parts physically. So it was a very good initiative.
Yeah, it's a great example that we have heard a lot in the news also. So very exciting with what you can do with 3D printing and how fast you can be so flexible as well.
Yeah.
And looking forward in the broader perspective, one of the things that are discussed is the automation happening in the manufacturing sector. From your perspective, Mohamad, what other technologies do you see becoming more common in the future regarding emerging technologies?
I think 2020 it's going to be an augmented reality and virtual reality year, basically, because now many people are at home, they are not at work, so they are getting used to work from distance. And you see a lot of news talking about having education from distance, and many people have started to look into what can augmented reality bring to the production. And I see it as one of the technical enablers that is going to increase a lot, but also more digital assistance like chatbots. How can we reduce the amount of administrative work? How can we reduce our cost? And I think those two, and also 3D printing it's getting more and more popular among many companies. I think those three are, and also not to forget the big data topic. When you start digging into the data, then you see a lot of money that you could save, basically, if you use the data in a good way or in a more analytic way. Then you could save a lot without even hiring people or getting rid of employees, because we have many losses that we could save, or a lot of money that you could save by just digging into the data. And many people think that this will impact jobs by reducing employees. But I don't think it's like that, because we have an example here in Volvo Cars Torslanda, and it's the 3D printing again. The 3D printing, we did not have anybody here in Torslanda that was working with 3D printing. So when we started with that, we noticed that we need to have a full-time employee here that is going to work with 3D printing, and he will need to have a specific competence. And now we have hired a 3D application engineer here in Torslanda. So that's a new type of competence that we haven't had before here. That's just one example. So I think we will get rid of many job tasks that we have today that are not giving any value to the company, but it will create new type of jobs also. So we will still need human force.
Yeah, and also you mentioned the different technologies there, but how soon do you think we will use them in a mass usage way? Today it's a lot of pilots, but do you think maybe in the near future it will be used in a more broader perspective?
I think so, because now, as I mentioned in the beginning, when I started with smart maintenance in 2017, we had people that were laughing at what do you mean smart maintenance? Are we working with dumb maintenance? And many people, they didn't even know what it meant, and also many people, they didn't even know what Industry 4.0 was even. So even managers. But now I think people are more and more mature, and they know what this means for them. And now you cannot not work with this. You need to work with this if you're going to be competitive in the future. I think it's different now. You have a new generation of employees that are starting in our companies. Younger generation that they think, why not? And a tablet, it's normal for them. This whole technology era, it's normal for them. They use virtual reality and augmented reality in their daily life. Take, for example, PlayStation. You can play PlayStation in a virtual VR environment. So yeah.
Yeah. So but basically, if I'm summarizing what you have said here, that you see, okay, there will be a lot of jobs that may be threatened by automation, but it is really up to us to see that we can create new jobs and also take away or delete the jobs that are very repetitive, mundane, and very difficult to do, and replace them with automation. But it's up to us to create new jobs and make this challenge, this transformation equal for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So Mohamad, I want to thank you for your time, for explaining this to us, and I will also provide the link so how they can come in contact with you, both via LinkedIn and your email. Do you want to end with something from your side?
Thank you for inviting me, and you are doing a great job. So hopefully we'll be in touch more.
Yes, I think we will, and I look forward to follow your journey as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Danar.